Hi everyone, this is Neel Raithatha, consultant audiologist and director of ClearWax. Thank you for joining me in my latest video using the WAXscope. And here we have a patient who attended with bilateral, fully occluding, really dry and hardened and adherent wax keratin, which is matted with a few hairs. So I'm just working at the floor of the ear canal. I'm trying to lift this up and away, but I will in a moment apply some medical grade olive oil spray. And what the olive oil will do is just soften that peripheral layer of skin that's enveloped the wax and keratin plug, which is still semi-attached to the ear canal wall. And there we are. So I've just put the oil in. And what the oil also helps us to do is to soften the surface of the wax plug, which helps us to get a better airtight seal. When you've got really dry and coarse earwax like this, it's very difficult to get an airtight seal. So the oil just softens that the surface of this plug. So when I put the sucker on there, you get a better suction grip, and then obviously you have more suction power, which then enables me to slowly but surely wriggle this out of the ear. They had quite a bendy entrance of the ear, so as I'm bringing this away, I'm trying to navigate the bends, and we're nearly there now. So that's the first bend on the right hand side. And I'm just going to the top of this wax plug now, because you can see all those hairs at the surface, but if I go trying to stay away from the hairs if possible, you just get a better suction grip. So I'm just going kind of over the top where there's less hairs, and fortunately I was able to bring this out in a big plug. Going to re-enter the ear, going to examine the eardrum, going to get it in focus. So slightly opaque posteriorly, but otherwise nice and healthy. The light reflex is just hidden away by the anterior recess, so the anterior canal wall is quite prominent and it curls back in, and that's where you get your anterior recess medially near the eardrum, and the light reflex was just visible past that bend. So although the right ear wasn't as blocked, it wasn't fully occluding, there was an opening through the center of this wax and keratin plug, it was far more difficult to remove because this was really attached to the canal wall. And I think this showcases one of the benefits of the WAXscope. We're having to work really close to the ear canal to separate this kind of slither of skin that's surrounding it. And because the WAXscope gives you that additional magnification, you can work with precision. I have got some head microscopes. There are obviously different qualities out there, but the most commonly used one, I did actually look in the ear with this, and it's very difficult to clearly visualize where the wax and canal wall is. And when you go with the suction tube, it almost obliterates your view. So for me, this was much easier to do with the WAXscope. And you can see we've almost got that sub-millimeter precision. We can get really close to the ear canal, but without making direct contact. I was reluctant to use any manual instruments to kind of glide this off the canal wall because we're working on the bony part, so this is a bit deeper. This patient wears hearing aids, and so this wax and skin would normally come out for the patient. They reported never having any issues with their ears getting blocked until they wore hearing aids. So unfortunately, one of the negatives sometimes with hearing aids is that it stops the natural migration of wax, and sometimes you're just pushing it and impacting it further in. It's almost like a Q-tip. But of course, we want you to wear hearing aids if you need them. So it's just something that you have to maintain. They're forever having to clean their hearing aid as well, because all this wax is blocking the sound bore at the end of the hearing aid, which enters the ear. So yeah, if I was gliding a correct, for example, it's not to say that it wasn't possible, but I felt more confident and safer for the patient really to avoid that. Particularly when you work on the bony part. So the inner 2/3 of the ear canal, the osseous section, it's very sensitive. It's got the thinnest layer of skin on top of it, less than 0.1 millimeters in thickness, which makes the bony section really delicate and uncomfortable if you touch it. And you can actually see the blood vessels here, they're right at the surface, so you're more at risk of bleeding if you cut into this canal, which we don't want to do. The outer cartilaginous section of the ear canal, you can apply a bit more pressure in between the wax and the keratin because it's a thicker layer of skin. It's got a fatty layer as well. It's about 1 millimeter in thickness. So, and of course, the cartilage portion is not as rigid as bone. So it's got some give. It's got some malleability. And the idea here is I'm just slowly all the way around the circumference of this wax and keratin plug, just bringing it in. I'm not actually trying to bring it out of the ear. As you can see, the suction, if anything, it's going towards the eardrum, it's going medially. So I'm getting a suction grip coming in and towards the eardrum. I'm just trying to separate it. And once I feel I've separated it, again, I'm going to bring it in, but I'm then going to come out of the ear. It's one of these procedures where you need a lot of patience, because I'm exerting so much force here. You're kind of thinking, well, I'm trying so hard, why doesn't it come out? And when I first started wax removal many years ago, I probably was a bit impatient. But then over the years, you become to learn it's a process. You take it step by step. You sometimes put the groundwork in before it comes out. But before, I was just trying to suck it and bring it away. That was my technique. But you soon come to realise not all cases are like that, straightforward. Sometimes it works, but in cases like this, it doesn't. And you can actually see how the skin is coming away. It's almost like it's super glued on to the canal wall. I'm now changing my angle of attack. I've separated a lot of the floor of the ear canal, the posterior canal wall. I'm now going to the front section. And again, I'm just bringing it into the center. So once you loosen it around the edge, it's a lot easier bringing it out. But once more, we don't want to make contact with the canal wall. And because of the magnification we've got, I can work with a lot of precision. You can just see that thin layer of skin here that was enveloped around this plug and almost playing tug of war with me. It didn't want to let go. Similarly to the left ear, but probably more so here, because all these loose matted hairs, which can make it more difficult to perform suction, because as I explained, you get less of a suction grip. So now just going back to the floor of the ear canal, you can see just how close we are to making contact with the ear canal itself. And then once more back posteriorly. And every time I'm bringing this up, it's almost got like a recoil. The skin wants to come back down. It's almost like it's got its memory and it just wants to flat back down to the floor. So you're having to work against that kind of resistance. It's in the distance, probably about 1 o'clock, it's out of view now, but that's their eardrum. So the eardrum is semi-visible, well, partially visible, I would say. So whilst I'm working this wax and keratable, I can feel this is the section that I need to really loosen, the back part. Again, so I'm lifting it up and it's flapping back down. And with keratin also, it's very reflective. So keratin is the protein found in the outer layer of skin, the epidermis layer. It's a protein also found in our fingernails and hair, and it has some protective benefits. It's hydrophobic, so it helps to repel water, and it also helps to reflect harmful UV sun rays. And now I'm coming, you probably see I'm suctioning it. I'm trying to now physically bring it away, so we're getting there. But keratin is, as I said, it's highly reflective, so when you shine the light to illuminate the ear, sometimes you can get some reflection, so occasionally we have to bring down the brightness of our device so it's not too reflective. So I'm just going to the top, peeling this away. My hand was quite exhausted after this procedure, although it was relatively short compared to some of the longer ones I do, but I was having to really work away at this with the sucker. So at this stage, I probably could have gone with forceps, because now that I've lifted it off the canal wall, I can slide my jaw in. So I would have the jaws for this. I could do it both ways now. I could go from the bottom section where I am now, with the top jaw at 12 o'clock, the bottom jaw at 6, or I could hold the forceps horizontally with one jaw at 3 and the jaw at 9 o'clock. But I managed to remove that without reverting to the forceps. It's going to get the eardrum in view. There's no light reflex there. Now, the absence of a light reflex, so normally when you examine the ear, you get, well, there's a small light reflex there, but the absence of the light reflex we're often told that there's some pathology. It's not always the case, but it was a bit opaque, the eardrum. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, and speak soon. Bye.